Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, are organisms whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering techniques. While humans have been modifying the genomes of plants and animals for thousands of years through selective breeding, recent advances have allowed for much more precise control over the genetic changes being made. Crops, farm animals, and soil bacteria are some of the more prominent examples of GMOs. Genetic modifications can provide benefits such as increased crop yields, reduced need for pesticides, enhanced nutrient content, and resistance to pests and environmental stressors. Animal modifications can increase yield and reduce susceptibility to disease. In the pharmaceutical industry, GMOs are used to produce proteins, antibodies, and tissues for medical treatments. However, there are also concerns about potential risks associated with GMOs. Some worry about unintended consequences of altering an organism's natural state, such as changes in metabolism, growth rate, or response to environmental factors. There are also concerns about the possibility of GMOs spreading antibiotic resistance or causing ecological imbalances. Debates have arisen over specific cases such as Bt corn and its potential impact on monarch butterfly populations. Economic concerns include the control of GMO patents by private companies and potential impacts on small farmers. There are also philosophical and religious objections, with some believing it is intrinsically wrong to tamper with nature, or that mixing genes between species is immoral. This has led to calls for clear GMO labeling to allow for informed consumer choices. Regulation of GMO research and development has evolved over time. Early guidelines focused on lab safety, but as GMOs moved toward commercialization, broader issues arose. Governments now perform risk assessments before allowing commercial use, but regulation remains challenging due to the difficulties in predicting impacts. The case-by-case approach to risk assessment is widely accepted, though specific regulatory approaches vary between countries. While many believe that adequate research can allow for safe use of GMOs and that they have significant potential benefits, others maintain that extreme caution is warranted given the possible risks. As GMO use continues to expand, ongoing research and improved safety measures will play a key role in shaping their future impacts. Geofacts are naturally occurring rock formations that can be easily mistaken for man-made artifacts. These stones can take on shapes that resemble tools or other objects created by ancient humans, making it challenging for archaeologists to distinguish between true artifacts and geofacts during excavations. The process of glacial melting and the movement of rocks can create geofacts that appear similar to weapons like spears. Mixing of natural and salt water during glacial periods can also alter sediment locations within rocks, leading to artificial markings that mimic human craftsmanship. Archaeologists have developed methods to differentiate geofacts from artifacts, such as analyzing blow angles on rocks and examining the roundness of abrasions. However, even with these techniques, geofacts are still often misinterpreted as artifacts, leading to errors in archaeological findings. In some cases, geofacts can be found mixed with genuine artifacts and human remains, further complicating the identification process. Archaeologists must carefully consider factors like the natural environment of the rocks and the presence of similar shapes and edges to determine whether an object is a geofact or an artifact. While some argue that the presence of rocks far from their original environment indicates human intervention, evidence suggests that glacial moraines and fluvial glacial deposits can also cause rocks to move significant distances, creating geofacts in unexpected locations. Geometrodynamics is a physics theory that aims to explain the fundamental aspects of the universe using geometry, such as shapes and measurements. It's like trying to piece together the puzzle of space, time, and forces using geometric principles. One aspect of this theory, known as Einstein's Geometrodynamics, takes a special approach to understanding how things move and change in the universe. Named after Albert Einstein, this part of the theory delves into the dynamics of spacetime. Another facet, called Wheeler's Geometrodynamics, delves even deeper into concepts like mass and charge, exploring phenomena such as geons and wormholes. Geons are essentially ripples in space that can affect objects, while wormholes are theoretical shortcuts through spacetime. Today, scientists continue to explore these ideas, particularly in the realm of quantum geometrodynamics. This branch seeks to understand space and time on the smallest scales imaginable, akin to using a microscope to examine the universe's intricacies. It's an ongoing quest for scientists to unravel the mysteries of our universe at its most fundamental level. In a small Georgia town known as the granite capital of the world, a mysterious monument called the Georgia Guidestones stood for over 4 decades. Commissioned by an enigmatic stranger using the pseudonym Robert Christian, the Guidestones consisted of massive granite slabs inscribed with 10 guidelines for humanity in 8 languages. The first of these cryptic commandments called for maintaining the global population under 500 million, a staggering reduction from the current number. This sparked speculation and controversy from the moment the Guidestones were unveiled in 1980. Over the years, the monument weathered vandalism and criticism, its true purpose and meaning remaining elusive. However, a rare book written by Robert Christian himself, titled Common Sense Renewed, shed light on the motivations behind the Guidestones. In it, he espoused troubling ideas about population control, including the notion that some lives are more valuable than others. Despite these disturbing revelations, many local officials seemed unconcerned. Some even expressed agreement with the Guidestones' messages, viewing them as sensible rather than sinister. But the Guidestones story took a dramatic turn in 2022 when a gubernatorial candidate pledged to demolish the satanic monument if elected. Shortly thereafter, an explosive device damaged the stones, leading to their complete demolition by authorities. The identity and motives of the bomber remain unknown. However, the mystery of who commissioned the Guidestones may have been accidentally solved years earlier. In a little-known documentary, a local banker entrusted with managing the monument's construction let slip a key piece of evidence: a letter from Robert Christian with a return address belonging to an Iowa doctor named Herbert Kirsten. Kirsten, it turned out, had a history of writing newspaper letters about the need for rational population control. Even more concerningly, an acquaintance claimed Kirsten had bragged about his friendship with a prominent eugenicist who believed in the genetic inferiority of certain races. While some locals dismiss these allegations or prefer not to grapple with their implications, the revelations cast the Guidestones' curious messages in a darker light. As the town reckons with the aftermath of the monument's explosive demise, the troubling beliefs that may have motivated its creation linger like a conspiracy carved in stone. Gadolinium gallium garnet, or GG for short, is a synthetic crystalline material with several unique properties that make it a promising candidate for next-generation data storage. Its cubic lattice structure allows for precise 3D laser writing and reading, while its optimal hardness strikes a balance between economical large-scale processing and durability against frequent read-write cycles. GGG's magnetic and optical properties are also well documented, thanks to its previous use as a substrate in magnetic bubble memory technology. The potential data storage capacity of GG is truly astounding. A single cube of this material, measuring just a few centimeters per side, could theoretically hold the equivalent of several entire internets worth of data. This is because each GG molecule is capable of storing a certain number of data bits, resulting in an incredible data density when scaled up to macroscopic sizes. However, to fully harness the power of GG, researchers are exploring the concept of quantum electronic processing, or QP. Unlike traditional computing, which deals with binary states of 0 and 1, quantum processing can handle a superposition of all states between those values simultaneously. This introduces a form of parallelism that could make quantum computing millions of times faster and more efficient than current transistor-based systems. The main challenge in implementing QP lies in observing the quantum dynamics without disrupting the delicate superposition of states. One potential solution involves a phenomenon called quantum entanglement, where two particles become correlated in such a way that measuring one instantly affects the other, regardless of the distance between them. By using one entangled particle for measurements while leaving its partner inside the quantum processor, it may be possible to gather information about the system's quantum states without triggering a collapse of the superposition. While many of the technologies involved in creating a GG quantum electronic processor are still in the experimental or theoretical stages, rapid advancements in fields like laser engineering and quantum computing suggest that such a device could become a reality within our lifetimes. The successful integration of GG's immense storage capacity with the raw processing power of QP could revolutionize computing as we know it, opening up new frontiers in data-driven research, simulation, and discovery. In China, there's a curious phenomenon of under-occupied property developments, often referred to as ghost cities or ghost towns. These aren't abandoned, defunct places, but rather new installations that have yet to receive their intended residents. Interestingly, the way property values are structured in China contributes to this situation. There are two main types of housing: economically affordable housing, which must be lived in by the owner and can't be bought and sold as an investment, and commodity housing, which can be purchased as an investment and is considered a more secure way to store money. The construction of commodity housing is driven by the significant disparity between urban and rural land prices. Municipalities can redesignate rural land as urban construction land, reselling it at much higher prices. This provides a lucrative non-tax income stream for local governments. Developers who acquire these plots are mandated to build quickly, often without sufficient housing demand in the area. While some initially criticize these ghost cities, many argue that they should be viewed as long-term investments in China's future urbanization. Over time, several of these once under-occupied developments have transformed into thriving, economically vibrant areas. As China's urban population continues to grow, these seemingly empty cities are gradually filling up, becoming functional and lively places to live and work. So, what may appear to be a ghost town today could very well be a bustling metropolis in the years to come. The concept of the mind existing separately from the body, often referred to as the ghost in the machine, has been a topic of philosophical debate for centuries. This notion, originally put forth by René Descartes, suggests that mental and physical activities occur simultaneously but independently. However, this idea has been critiqued by various philosophers, most notably Gilbert Ryle, who argued that it is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of the mind and its relationship to the body. Ryle contends that the mind-body dualism theory commits a category mistake by attempting to analyze the mind and body as if they were of the same logical category. He argues that this confusion of logical categories is evident in other theories that attempt to reduce either mental reality to the status of physical reality or vice versa. According to Ryle, the principles underlying the mind-body dualism doctrine are unsound and conflict with our understanding of the mind. Ryle's critique of the ghost in the machine concept challenges the long-held belief that the mind is a distinct entity, capable of existing independently from the physical body. His arguments have contributed to the ongoing philosophical debate surrounding the nature of consciousness and the relationship between the mental and the physical. Despite the complexity of the topic, Ryle's insights offer a thought-provoking perspective on one of the most enduring questions in the history of philosophy. In the southeastern Anatolia region of Turkey lies a remarkable archaeological site known as Gobekli Tepe, which dates back to the pre-pottery Neolithic period. This ancient settlement, inhabited from roughly 9,500 to 8,000 BCE, is home to the world's oldest known megaliths, massive stone pillars arranged in large circular structures. These structures, some reaching up to 30 meters in diameter, feature T-shaped limestone pillars weighing up to 50 tons each. Many of these pillars are intricately decorated with carved reliefs depicting various animals, abstract symbols, and even some humanoid figures. The site's discovery has challenged our understanding of early human civilization, as it predates the advent of agriculture and pottery by several centuries. The construction of such monumental structures would have required significant organization and labor, suggesting that the inhabitants of Gobekli Tepe had already developed complex social systems. One of the most intriguing aspects of Gobekli Tepe is the apparent lack of evidence for permanent settlements or agriculture in the immediate vicinity. This has led some researchers to propose that the site may have served as a regional gathering place for various hunter-gatherer groups who came together to participate in rituals or ceremonies. The precise purpose of the circular structures and their enigmatic iconography remains a topic of ongoing research and speculation. The God Helmet is an intriguing experimental device designed to investigate the effects of weak magnetic fields on the brain's temporal lobes. Created by Stanley Coren and neuroscientist Michael Persinger, its original purpose was to explore creativity and religious experiences. When worn, some individuals have reported feeling a sensed presence, sparking public interest and TV documentaries. Operating with very weak magnetic fields comparable to household appliances, the helmet aims to stimulate specific brain regions. While Persinger claims positive results, replication attempts have yielded mixed outcomes. Some suggest suggestibility or flawed methodologies may explain reported experiences. Although not intended to induce divine visions, the God Helmet explores theories like the vectorial hemisphericity hypothesis, which proposes our self-awareness involves both brain hemispheres. Disruptions in their communication could lead to unusual perceptions. Persinger theorizes that paranormal experiences may result from such disruptions, with some users reporting sensing presences, angels, or God while wearing the helmet. Despite skepticism, the God Helmet continues to captivate interest in neuroscience and human perception. The concept of God not being omnipotent, known as the Omnipotence paradox, raises thought-provoking questions about the nature of divine power. Traditionally, the idea of God as omnipotent suggests unlimited power and authority. However, the omnipotence paradox challenges this notion by presenting logical dilemmas that question the coherence of omnipotence itself. One such paradox revolves around the question, can God create a stone so heavy that even He cannot lift it? If God can create such a stone, then there exists something He cannot lift, contradicting His omnipotence. On the other hand, if God cannot create such a stone, then there is something He cannot do, also challenging His omnipotence. This paradox highlights the inherent contradictions in the concept of unlimited power. It suggests that the very idea of omnipotence may be logically inconsistent or impossible to fully comprehend. Various theologians and philosophers throughout history have grappled with the implications of the omnipotence paradox. Some propose alternative understandings of divine power, suggesting that God's omnipotence may be limited by His own nature or by logical principles. On a secretive Scientology compound in California, there's a place called The Hole, where dozens of the organization's senior executives have reportedly been confined for months or even years at a time. It's said to consist of a few double-wide trailers joined together. According to accounts from former members, the Scientology leader began sending executives there in the early 2000s as a form of punishment. Life inside the hole was described as degrading and inhumane. At times, up to 100 people were allegedly crammed into the small space, forced to sleep on the floor or under desks. They could only leave the building under guard to shower at a nearby maintenance garage. The executives were made to wear rags, eat scraps, and participate in bizarre group confessions that sometimes turned violent. People were reportedly beaten, hazed, and psychologically tortured to make them comply. Some well-known figures in Scientology's international management are said to have spent time in the hole, although the church denies the facility exists and states that no one was ever held against their will. A few managed to escape the compound entirely, later describing their experiences to the media and FBI. However, law enforcement has been unable to investigate conditions there, as no one still inside has filed a complaint. The disturbing allegations bring to light the darker side of Scientology's strict hierarchy and raise serious questions about how the controversial organization treats its members behind closed doors. But so far, the secretive nature of the church has allowed it to avoid any real accountability. The golden ratio and the golden spiral are two intertwined mathematical concepts that have captivated the minds of mathematicians, artists, and scientists for centuries. The golden ratio, represented by the Greek letter phi, is an irrational number approximately equal to 1.618. It emerges when two quantities are in a specific proportion to each other, such that their ratio is the same as the ratio of their sum to the larger quantity. This seemingly simple mathematical relationship has far-reaching implications and appears in various aspects of nature, art, and design. The golden spiral, a logarithmic spiral that grows outward by a factor of the golden ratio for every quarter turn, is a visual representation of this fascinating concept. Its graceful, ever-expanding shape maintains the same proportions as it grows, creating a mesmerizing pattern that has been observed in a wide range of natural phenomena. From the spiral chambers of the Nautilus shell to the swirling arms of galaxies and the intricate arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, the golden spiral seems to be nature's preferred design. The prevalence of the golden ratio and the golden spiral in the natural world has led to widespread speculation about their significance. Some believe that these mathematical concepts represent a fundamental principle governing the structure and beauty of the universe. The fact that they appear in such diverse contexts, from the microscopic to the cosmic scale, suggests an underlying order and interconnectedness that is both awe-inspiring and mysterious. Artists and architects have long been drawn to the aesthetic appeal of the golden ratio and the golden spiral. Masterpieces like Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man and works by Michelangelo and Salvador Dali incorporate these concepts to achieve a sense of balance, harmony, and visual pleasure. The use of the golden ratio in art and architecture has been a topic of debate, with some experts questioning the extent of its intentional application. However, the enduring fascination with these concepts highlights their power to captivate the human imagination. The golden ratio and the golden spiral are not merely abstract mathematical ideas, they are deeply rooted in the fabric of our reality. Their occurrence in the Fibonacci sequence, where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, further underscores their fundamental nature. The Fibonacci sequence itself has a myriad of applications in mathematics, computer science, and nature, adding to the intrigue surrounding these concepts. During the Cold War era, the United States intelligence agencies became increasingly interested in the potential of using psychic abilities like remote viewing and astral projection for espionage purposes. This interest was fueled in part by reports that the Soviet Union was heavily investing in parapsychological research. In response, the US launched several secret programs, such as Operation Stargate, to investigate and harness these alleged abilities. Remote viewing involves a person projecting their consciousness to distant locations to gather information, while astral projection is an out-of-body experience where the soul is said to leave the physical body and travel freely. Historically, stories of astral travel date back to ancient times, but the idea gained popularity in the 19th century spiritualist movement. As part of these secret programs, the CIA purportedly developed a special camera known as the glass camera. This device was supposedly used by psychics to record images and sounds encountered during astral projection sessions, providing a more objective form of intelligence than subjective descriptions alone. However, concrete evidence for the existence of this camera remains elusive. One curious case involves a psychic named Robert Golf, who allegedly died during a remote viewing session while using the glass camera. According to some accounts, Golf's consciousness became untethered from his body upon death and was drawn into the afterlife, possibly heaven itself. The recording captured by the camera was reportedly classified at the highest levels, never to be viewed by the public. Some speculate that the government suppressed this information to maintain control over the population's beliefs about the afterlife. The tale of Robert Golf and the glass camera, while intriguing, remains a mystery. Nonetheless, it reflects the enduring fascination with the possibilities of psychic phenomena and the lengths to which governments have gone to exploit these abilities, whether real or imagined. When browsing satellite imagery on popular map services, you might occasionally encounter areas that appear blurred, distorted, or obscured. These digital blind spots, sometimes called map blanks or black zones, often conceal sensitive locations around the world. The reasons behind this intentional censorship vary, but they usually involve national security concerns or requests from governments and private entities. In some cases, the obscured sites are unsurprising. Military bases, defense installations, and royal residences are common targets for this type of digital redaction. For example, the entire region encompassing Israel and Palestine remains one of the most extensively blurred areas on global map services, largely due to a US regulation restricting the resolution of commercially available satellite imagery of the area. Other instances of map censorship might seem more peculiar at first glance. A county in New York once requested that Google blur out an amusement park, a beach, and several parking lots, citing them as potential terrorism targets. Some governments, like Malaysia, have opted not to request any map censorship at all, arguing that doing so would only serve to highlight the locations they consider sensitive. Curiously, vast swaths of Antarctica also appear in low resolution on many map platforms. The continent's harsh, remote conditions and largely featureless terrain make high-resolution imagery both challenging to capture and arguably less necessary. However, some sizable areas are specifically blurred, standing out from the already obscured landscape and hinting at unknown structures or activities concealed beneath the ice. As technology advances and the availability of detailed satellite imagery continues to grow, the practice of map censorship remains an intriguing and sometimes controversial aspect of our digital world. In the world of particle physics, there's an ongoing quest to develop a so-called grand unified theory, or GUT for short. The goal of a GUT is to merge three of the fundamental forces of nature, the electromagnetic, weak, and strong forces, into a single, overarching force that would have existed in the very early universe. While this unified force hasn't been directly observed, many theoretical models predict its existence. The idea is that at extremely high energies, far beyond what can be achieved in particle accelerators today, these three forces would essentially become indistinguishable from one another. They would unite under a larger symmetry, governed by a single force carrier particle and a unified coupling constant. As the universe cooled and expanded after the Big Bang, this symmetry would have broken, causing the forces to differentiate into the distinct interactions we observe today. Developing a functional GUT is no easy task, as it requires accounting for all known particles and their properties while also predicting new, undiscovered ones. The most promising candidate models are based on large symmetry groups like SU, 5, SO, 10, and E6. These groups contain the symmetries of the standard model as subgroups, allowing for a mathematical framework that could potentially describe all elementary particles and their interactions. One of the key predictions of many GUT models is the existence of magnetic monopoles, hypothetical particles with only one magnetic pole, either north or south. Another common prediction is proton decay, a process that would see the fundamental building blocks of atomic nuclei break down into lighter particles. So far, no magnetic monopolies have been found, and proton decay has never been observed, placing constraints on the viability of certain GUT models. Despite the lack of experimental evidence, the allure of a grand unified theory remains strong. It promises a more fundamental understanding of the universe, a glimpse into the conditions that existed mere fractions of a second after the Big Bang. The search for a GUT represents a profound quest to uncover the most basic laws of nature, to find unity in the seemingly complex tapestry of particles and forces that make up our world.